What up? What up? What up, everybody? Welcome. Happy Saturday to you, and those who celebrate the Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to you, right? I'm Randy Chambliss. I am the private money lender expert, and today I'm coming to you live broadcasting on a show that's geared towards personal development, right? And that show is called the I Believe Experience, unlocking your mind power within, right? So first, let me tell you about the social impact. Why is this so important to my team and I? That is to provide reliable capital for real estate investors, developers, and entrepreneurs so they could create more affordable and workforce housing to prevent and reduce homelessness in our communities. As a result of what we do, from the education and also the private money we lend, these real estate investors get fair access to the capital they need so they can earn the income they prefer and live the lifestyle that they really want, all while making a huge impact and living with impact in the communities we're working. We call it investing with a purpose, right? Investing with a purpose, right? Well, what's the purpose of I Believe Experience, right? The purpose of I Believe Experience is to be able to enhance your beliefs, your emotions, and the actions that you take so you could get the results that you prefer in your life, right? And so everything starts with the mindset, right? Setting your mind on what to do. You can have all the education in regards to real estate, financial. You can have the greatest coach or mentor. You can have all these things in place, systems and processes. But at the end of the day, your results is not going to be very, very huge or what you prefer if you don't have the proper mindset, if you don't have the proper belief that you can do it. See, what I've learned in life, that you have to start the race knowing that you can win. Like, I want you to write that down, right? Don't forget that. You have to start the race knowing that you can win. So when you first think about starting something new, going on a new journey, one of the first thoughts that oftentimes come up, and I'm gonna be the first one to admit it, say, you can't do that, right? Who are you, right? You can't do that. You don't have the time to do it. You don't have the resources to do it. You don't have the energy to do it. You're busy. You got the spouse you're taking care of. You got the children you're taking care of, right? You have the business you run. How are you gonna do that, right? And so I've learned over time that I have to captivate that thought, right? I have to put that thought in captivity. And then I have to replace that thought with I prefer, what I want to do, right? And we all have those negative thoughts. By all means, don't tell a family member, right? By all means, may not want to tell a friend, right? You have something new you want to start and do, and all of a sudden you tell Susie, hey, Susie, listen, I'm getting ready to do such and such thing. The first thing Susie's going to tell you, girl, you can't do that, right? So sometimes you have to watch who you even tell your goals to, who you tell your dreams and aspirations to, right? You have to put yourself in an environment of success. Put yourself in an environment where other people are thinking properly, right? So at the end of the day, and for us to make a huge impact and a big transformation on preventing and reducing homelessness in our community by creating more affordable and workforce housing, then first off, the education got to be there, right? We have to be able to teach people how to find great properties that's off the market, how to find motivated sellers. Number two, we have to teach them how to create a proper work scope so they can create this work scope, they can work it, and then also finish their projects on time and, more importantly, in budget. Then we have to teach them how to calculate the acquisition cost, the holding cost, and the cost of actually selling their property, whether they're going to refinance it out or pull cash out or sell that property as an affordable workforce housing, right? They have to know all those skill sets, and they have to understand how to get access to the capital they need to continue that process. But again, beliefs is everything. If you don't believe you can do these things, then we can't make that impact. And we need you to be able to do this. Listen, let's face it. The federal government, the state government, the local government, your councilwomen, councilmen, the nonprofits, the local and regional banks that's in your area, these individuals are not coming to solve permanently the problem of homelessness and preventing homelessness. There's 35 million homes that we're behind on building. I want you to get that. 35 million homes that we're behind on building, right? And so those institutions and people I just talked about, they're not real estate developers. They're not real estate investors, right? So who is going to be the one to drive this? I believe that's going to be average people like you and I. We're going to drive that. So we have to be able to have the real estate education, have the financial education or the financial literacy and real estate literacy to be able to create more first-time home buyers, get them in a position to be able to be ready to buy a house, number one. Number two, be able to develop new real estate developers, right? Those who've been aspired to be a real estate investor, we have to hold them by the hand and give them the resources, and even the ones that's experienced. So today, like, I want to talk to you about the topic of BEAR, right? BEAR, right? I teach this to my students all the time, even my children, right? It's so important for you to catch this concept, BEAR. The B stands for belief, right? B stands for belief. One of my favorite books talks about a scripture written in Proverbs 23:7. And that simply says that, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? I want you to think about that. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Well, what is the heart the scripture is referring to? The heart the scripture is referring to is the mind, not the physical pump heart that we think of, right? We're talking about the mind. That's the heart that he is talking about, the scripture is talking about. So look, let me share my screen real quick. Let's go get the definition of beliefs, right? Let's go get the definition. Give me one moment. Let me up and running. Hold on a second. All right, so you should be able to see my screen. So look at the definition of belief right here, right? Belief, you just Google this thing, it says an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists, right? So think about that. A belief doesn't mean that something is actually true or false. That's actually right or wrong. It's an acceptance, right? A belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Well, let's look at that scripture. Let's break down Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinketh, you can see it right here is highlighted, as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. So let's look at the concordance, right? Let's go and break down what this word heart means. So we're going to scroll down and say in his heart right here, just the translation breakdown. That's H5315. H5315. So let's click on this and let's see what the definition pops up, right? So that word heart, according to the scripture, as the translation says, is that it's the soul, self, life, creator, person, appetite. But what I'm looking for right here, guys, is mind. The mind, right? So as a man thinketh, we could really say it in a different way. As a man thinketh in his mind, so is he, right? So another scripture I like to talk about and I like to share from my favorite book, and that is Romans 12:2. Romans 12:2. And be not conformed by this world, but ye be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So one of the goals of the scripture is to help you to transform your thinking, to help you transform your mind. So that way, when you think it in your heart, when you think it in your mind, so are you. So if you think that you have lack, you think you have health issues, you think that you have don't have a social impact, you think that you don't have enough income, and then you start to talk about these things rarely. I mean, you talk about these things often, then what happens is what? You start to believe that, right? You start to accept that thing that you've been thinking about, right? And so that's a critical tip and topic that I want to discuss is belief, right? And I want you all to go out and continue to study what is belief, right? And so here's what I want you to think about, right? That bear, right? Going back to that bear. The beliefs, which is the B in that bear, determines your emotions. I'm going to say that again. The beliefs that you have determines your emotion, how you feel. Whether you feel excited and joyful or you feel down, dreary, right? Whether you feel super fired up, ready to go, or you kind of doubt and fear, right? At the end of the day, your emotions only respond to your thinking in your mind. Your emotion wasn't designed to determine if something is true or false. Your emotion wasn't designed to determine if something happened in the past, that is happening currently right now, or if it's something that happened in the future. Your emotions cannot determine that factor. It can't determine if something is right or wrong. Your emotions only respond to your thinking. That's it. That's the way the Creator designed it. So if you find yourself feeling worried, feeling doubtful, feeling fear, feeling anxiety, feeling a little depression, then you have to think about that and say, wait a minute, these are the results of my feeling. The feelings is my results, right? This is the effect, it's the way I'm feeling. But there have to be a cause. There have to be a cause behind what I'm feeling. And that cause is, ladies and gentlemen, is your thinking. You, at that moment, you're thinking thoughts of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety. You thinking those negative thoughts. So that's exactly why you're feeling that way. So you have to put yourself in a position, again, you heard me say this earlier, to be able to captivate your thoughts, right? And to be able to hold it captive, put it in slavery, lock it up, chain it up, and then take that thought and toss it away. And then replace that with a good thought. Think, one of my another favorite scripture talk about, think on these things that are good, things that are in good report. Think on these things. Think on things that is lovely. Think on these things. So immediately your emotion is going to change. So you can't think fear and faith at the same time. You only got to have either or. Either you're going to think fearful thoughts, or you're going to think a faithful thought, period. It can't be both at the same time. So if you're feeling this feeling of negativity, doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, then you can easily replace it when you know what to do. And you can replace that by putting a faith thought in there. Think about a vacation that was a memorable vacation for you and your spouse. Think about a vacation that you had maybe with your children and your spouse, the whole family, right? Beautiful place you went at. Think about some past experience that you had with your family, right? You want to think about the first time that you fell in love with your spouse, whatever the case may be, whatever that gets you in a positive mental state. You want to start to think on those things, right? So remember, your beliefs determines your emotions. Your emotions determines your actions. And your actions determines the results that you get. So the result that you're getting right now, it may be results that you prefer in a certain area of your life. So those things that does not need adjustment. You don't need to change anything because you're getting the results that you prefer in your life in this area of your life. But sometimes we have areas of our life that we're not getting the results that we prefer, right? And so oftentimes we look at changing the behavior and say, okay, let me go to the behavior. Let me start taking different actions. And that will work for a certain period of time, guys. It will, but it's not sustainable. It's not everlasting. It's not a permanent change. And so in order for that to be a everlasting, permanent, ongoing, and a never-ending cycle change, then you have to not only look at the emotions, you got to go back to the beliefs. That's the cause. So there's a law, I want you to get this. There's a law called the law of cause and effect, right? Think about that. I want you to go research it, do some studying. There's a law called the law of cause and effect. Basically, what it means is that what you put out is what you get back. Whatever you sow, you reap, right? That's what the law of cause and effect is. This law is such a real law. It's like the law of gravity, right? It doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are, what race that you are. If you go on a 10-story building and drop an ink pen off that building, what's going to happen to that ink pen according to the law of gravity? It's going to tumble down to the ground as fast as possible, right? So That law exists. So you have to understand there's other laws that is actually running and determining how we live on this earth. And that another law is the law of cause and effect. See, your results that you're getting, whether good or bad, that is just a result. That's the effect. But the cause goes back to the thinking. It goes back to the beliefs. That's the cause. And when you permanently change the belief, you permanently create a new habit or habits. You have implanted that into the subconscious mind. You have a new program. That's when change is going to come. I say this all the time to my children, my wife, the student that we have, the mastermind group that we have. I explain to them, like, listen, nothing changes if nothing changes. I want you to write that down. Think about that. Nothing changes if nothing changes. That means if you don't put in the work today to change your thinking, to change your program, to change the habits that you have, and you have to constantly put in that work. It's hard work, don't get me wrong. Then and only then the future is going to change. But if you don't put in the work right now to change your thoughts, to change your thinking, to change your beliefs, then nothing is going to change in the future permanently. It's just the way it is. And here's why, right? The reason why is because you have your conscious mind and you have the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind, what you're using right now to watch me on this video, to hear my voice, you're in the moment. You're consciously aware of what's going on right here, right now at this moment. But oftentimes, you might be driving in your vehicle. All of a sudden, your cell phone rings, you pick it up. Hey, how you doing? Happy Thursday. And you start to have a conversation. Well, you just defaulted to your programming of driving. I want you to get that. You defaulted to the programming that you have developed, those habits of how to drive. So you're no longer paying attention to the road. I don't care what you think, what you're saying right now. You're no longer paying attention to the road. You didn't pass the 5 18-wheelers, all of them the same beautiful blue color, and you wasn't aware of that. Why? Because you defaulted to driving. You're having a whole conversation with somebody else on this phone, and your subconscious program have taken over and bringing you to your destination. And that's why sometimes when you make a decision, you say, listen, I'm going to stop at the store before I go home. And all of a sudden you driving automatically, you get off on your exit to go home, right? You're like, hey, I wanted to go to the store, right? Why? Why did that happen? That happened because the program of driving yourself home, that you did this over and over again in a habitual habit that happened. You've been going home for 10 years to the same route. So your program know how to get you home safely. But you had a conscious thought to go to the store, but automatically your program that you have of driving yourself home automatically took you off that exit to get you home safely. Well, I want you to think about this. If this happens 95% of the time throughout the day or more, right? This is what statistics is telling us. 95% throughout the day or more, people default to the habits that they have through the programming that they have, through the subconscious mind. They just default to that all day long without them knowing that they defaulted. that part, right? You don't even know that this is happening to you. This is automatically happening. It's called being a human. Welcome to being a human being, right? This just happens. And so all of a sudden, what if, right, you can recognize, captivate these thoughts, put it in captivity, those negative thoughts, and say, wait a minute, hold on. What if I can program myself with my wishes and the desires that I want to experience in this human life? What if I can program myself with the desires, the wishes that I want, the things that I prefer to create in my life, how I want to live? What if I can create a program for that? So that way, throughout the day, when you're constantly thinking about the life that you prefer, thinking about the money that you want to earn, thinking about the vacations that you want to take with your family, on an exotic beach, beautiful white sand, beautiful crystal clear water, right? Those aqua blue water that you see out in the Caribbean, right? Just thinking about those thoughts, if you want to accomplish that, what if you can program yourself to think like that? And you can. You can. It's possible, right? You just have to know the strategy to do it. So what happens now that you have been thinking consciously in the moment of this vision that you have, that you want to live this certain lifestyle, you want to help certain people, you want to do certain things, be what you want to do, have what you want to have, and you're thinking about these things consciously. Then all of a sudden, you took the time to program yourself, and then now they're in your subconscious mind as a new program. And when you default, right, 95% of the time throughout the day or more, when you default to those subconscious programs without you being aware of it, that you defaulted to, is playing your wishes, your goals, and your burning desires. That's going to happen. That's how you win. That's how you win in every area of your life. And that is to know how to control your thinking. You get to tell your mind what to think. You get to tell your brain feel. You get to determine that because you have a will. You have a will to determine that. So think about that with the spouse, right? You and your spouse might have some arguments in the past. You may be having some arguments today. And I'm talking about real arguments where that woman can't understand that man. And that man can't understand that woman. It's like, look, I don't understand it. Like that this man is logical, thinking about the woman is emotional. Like, it's just a clash. Well, oftentimes it all goes back to the beliefs, the subconscious programs of both of them. They both have to be aware that they come from two different places. The woman been growing up in a certain environment, certain thinking. The husband, same thing, certain environment, certain type of thinking, of different family. They both come from two different backgrounds. And deep down in the spirit, they're two different beings, right? Period. And so at the end of the day, what can change? Should they continue to do the same thing over and over again that they've been doing, but yet these major arguments keep popping up? Or are they going to change something today so that the future is going to change? So one of the things my wife and I, we started doing is the fact that my wife created affirmations and programs about me. I created programs and affirmations about my wife. So I could see my wife in a certain light. So when we have a disagreement, instead of we blowing up and having major arguments, the idea is, hey, this woman had my children. This woman was in the hospital on that bed. Things could have went differently. So I'm seeing it in a different light. I'm seeing it in a different perspective. So by me seeing her in a different perspective, in a different light, right, I get to choose that thought that I'm thinking. And then if I put that in my subconscious mind, then when I default to my subconscious program during a disagreement, then I can still play those programs of my wife giving birth to my children, how awesome she is, how amazing she is, how amazing a spiritual woman she is, how a virtual wife that she is. I get to think about those things consciously and subconsciously. And now I feel a certain way to her. I don't feel being an argumentative state. I want to bless her. I want to give her respect. I want to give her honor, etc. You get my point. And the same thing, vice versa for her. She started to see me in a different way. No, I'm not attacking her. I'm not doing these things to her because her mind is not telling her that that's what happened. So all of a sudden, she's programming a certain way to see me. I'm programming a certain way to see her. Now our emotions is following, and then we have different actions towards each other. I want you to get that. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So the idea is now I'm thinking about it in a certain way. I'm going to treat her in a certain way. She's thinking about me in a certain way. She's going to treat me in a certain way, and the harmony is there. So what I'm sharing with you about your beliefs and about this bear technique I'm sharing with you is the fact that it works in every area of your life. The bear stands for beliefs. The E stands for emotions. I'm sorry, the B in bear stands for beliefs. The E in bear stands for emotions. The A in bear stands for actions. And the R in bear stands for results. So in order to change the results that we prefer, we have to go to the cause, which is the thinking. As a man thinketh, so is he. We have to renew the mind. Going back to Proverbs 23:7, for as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. But we learn that the word heart is actually mind. So as a man thinking in his mind, so is he. This goes for that woman and that man. I want you to get that, right? Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you have to renew your mind. You have to get that, guys. So I want to give you 6 mental faculties. I think this is very good for you. It helped me out, helped my students out. Listen, trust me, write this down. 6 mental faculties that we have. This should be taught in school and it's not. Number 1 is a will. Number 2, perception. Number 3, intuition. Number 4, reasoning. Number 5, imagination. And number 6, memory. 6 mental faculties that you have to study, learn, so you can understand. And that way you can use wisdom. See, one of the richest men that ever lived on planet Earth, according to the scriptures, his name was King Solomon. Solomon said that he prayed for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. See, knowledge is information. Understanding is the comprehension of that information. And wisdom is applying what you learn and understand in the moment that you need to apply it. So when everything is going good and dandy, everything is fun and exciting, that wisdom is easy to use. But when things not going so well, when life hits you on the blind side, and it hits you on the blind side often, right? In the midst of that negative feeling, then guess what happened? You have to apply wisdom of what you learned and understand now. So again, 6 mental faculties: a will, perception, intuition, reasoning, imagination, and memory. See, these 6 mental faculties only human beings have. You have. The plant kingdom doesn't have that. The animal kingdom does not have that. The animals don't have a will, perception, intuition, reason, imagination, and memory. The plant kingdom don't have it. You do. That's why you are God's highest creation. That's why he told Adam, he said, you're going to rule the earth. Name the animals. Adam named everything because he had the power to do that. He was the king. He was God on earth to create that. He named them. I want you to get that. And so since you are different than every other creature that's created, then you have the power to do the thing that you need to do, which is to control your thinking and be a co-creator in your life. Yes, you heard me. You can co-create your future. You don't have to be a victim and accept what life is giving to you. You don't have to do it. You can change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you change by renewing your mind. That way the beliefs is new. So let's break down the word will. You have a will to choose what you listen to. You have the will to turn this broadcast off right now and don't hear nothing that I'm saying right now. You have the will to leave in your mind, your thinking, something that's positive, something that's good, something that's lovely. You have the will to hold that vision and that thought in your mind. You also have the will to think of something negative that gives you the feeling of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, depression. You have the will to think those thoughts. So you have that will to choose. Perception. Whatever you perceive, you actually believe. Perception is real. Whatever you perceive is real. Now, just because you perceive something does not mean that that is true. That does not mean that that is the right thing just because you perceive it that way. Perception is not based on right or wrong, good or evil. Perception is based on your beliefs. So when a situation that happens, right, that situation is neutral. That thing that comes to you is neutral. You give it a definition based on when you filter it through your belief system, and you gives it a definition. You put a perception on it based on your beliefs. I want you to get that. So oftentimes when you stuck, you can't make a decision. Oftentimes what I've learned from my mentor is that, hey, I try to look at this situation from a different perspective. So I take it out of me, put it on a table, and then I literally walk around the table and I look at that and I think, hey, how would my mentor look at this? How would he see this? Then I might get up and go on the other side of the table and look at that and say, okay, how would my other mentor look at this? How would he perceive this? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm putting myself in a different energy, a different spirit, so I can see from a different perspective. If my wife and I talk, I try to, look at it from my wife's point of view and look at it from her perspective. My business colleagues, I'll be able to look at it from their perspective. You get my point. So just because you perceive something to you is real, but just because you perceive doesn't mean it's right or wrong. That's just your perception. Because again, everything is neutral. All information, everything that comes to you in life is neutral. You give it a definition based on your belief system that you have, through the habits that you have created over the years, through your environment, through the books you've been reading or not reading, through the mastermind groups that you've been around, through your family member you've been around, through your churches that you've been around, right? Through the school system that you've been around, through the YouTube videos you've been binge watching, through the social media that you've been binge watching. You get my point. Your perception is built and becomes a belief. So I want you to get that. So intuition is real. Like, you walk in the room and sometimes you might feel something that's heavy on you, like something that's not right, something negative. You're like, no, what? We get out of this environment. That's intuition. Or you might be in your kitchen washing dishes and, getting everything together. And then your little son or little daughter walk down the stairs. They're trying to play with you and they creeping down the stairs. And all of a sudden you turn around, they're right there by you. Because you felt that. It was an intuition. It was a certain energy that you felt. Intuition. You could come up to somebody. You could see if they're in a negative vibration or they're in a positive vibration. You can tell that through your intuition. Reasoning. Reasoning is the ability to be able to think. You get to think thoughts. When you're in a certain environment, that's why you have to be very cautious and careful of what environment that you are in. Because when you're in a certain environment, if it's a negative environment, right, they will be thinking thoughts in the environment that's floating through all time and space, and you can pick up those thoughts. And of course, your thoughts lead to your emotional state. Your emotional state leads to your actions that you take, and your actions that you take leads to your results. The bear, what we've been talking about. But what if you're in a room of positive people that's making an impact, people who are financially free, people who are spiritually developed, people that's financially developed, who's personally developed, people who are doing the things that you want to do, having the things that you want to have. What if you could get in that environment, you could get in that room, and now those thoughts are coming up and you're picking up those thoughts. Now you thinking those things, you feeling those things, going to allow you to take action on those things and allow you to get the same results that they have. Got to be careful. You have to be careful in your environment. You have the ability, which is reasoning, to pick up thoughts, and those thoughts collectively coming together, aggregated, becomes an idea. And if you don't like that idea, you could move a couple of thoughts, put in a couple of thoughts, create a new idea. That's reasoning. Imagination. You have the opportunity to see a vision. One of my favorite books talks about where there's no vision, the people perish. It also says that you write the vision and make it plain. Write the vision and make it plain. So yes, you're supposed to be visualizing your future. You're supposed to be visualizing the person that you want to become, the things that you want to do, the things that you want to have. You commanded to start to visualize that. But you want to see yourself already accomplishing the things and the desires that you want. You want to see it in your mind's eye, not the two physical eye, but in that inner eye, that mind's eye. You need to see that in the vision. And as you look at that, you feel that vision, you seeing yourself being what you want to be, having what you have, doing what you want to do, then at that point, you start to feel the what? Emotions behind it, the excitement behind it, the gratitude behind it, the appreciation behind it. Because you're seeing yourself from the end result. So what if you could start the race knowing that you can win? What if you knew you couldn't fail? Like, how many people will you tell about your wishes, your goals, and your burning desires and your dreams? You'll be telling everybody to tune in, do this, do that, because you know you couldn't fail. There's no reason. There's no possibility. All you know is winning. All you can do is winning. All you can do is win. That's a certain belief, guys. And you can imagine that you could visualize yourself doing those things in memory. Memory allows you to recall things that happened in the past. You can pull up great things that happen, or you can pull up negative things that happen. I want you to get that. So again, let's break down these 6 mental faculties that only you as a human being has. That is a will, perception, intuition, reasoning, imagination, and memory. All those things deal with your thinking. Ultimately creates a belief that's in you. I want you to get that. So you have an option, guys. You have an option. You have a will. You have a choice. You could allow things to think. You could think thoughts of worry. You could think thoughts of doubt, because when you're worrying about something, guys, I need you to get this. When you're worrying about something, that turns into doubt. That doubt, if you let that manifest and stay there, you don't check that thing, you don't get that thought out of your mind, you don't captivate that thought, you don't put that thought in captivity and toss it out, then that doubt turns to fear. Fear is an emotion. Doubt is an emotion. Worry is an emotion. So worry and doubt turns to fear. And if you don't check that, you don't deal with that, that fear turns into anxiety. It turns into anxiety, guys. That anxiety is never expressed. The anxiety is always suppressed, meaning that you're not talking to your spouse about that, the anxiety you feel. You're not talking to somebody about that to get some advice and help. You're just suppressing it. You're worrying about your bills, how you're going to pay your bill, how you're going to pay your house note, how you're going to pay your landlord, how you going to pay for your utilities in your home, how you going to pay for your insurance on your car, how you going to pay for your car note. So you're worrying. You're worrying about your spouse. You're worrying. You're doubting. Fear didn't set in. Anxiety is at an all-time high, and you're not expressing that out. You're suppressing that. And when you do that for a certain period of time, that turns into depression. You turn into depression. And that depression turns into a dis-ease in the body. The body is not at ease. And then unfortunately, if that continues, the body turns into decay. Now, the only reason somebody would choose this path is ignorance. And I'm not saying ignorant in a bad way. Ignorant just means that you just don't know yet. But you're able to articulate this to people in your community, because I believe in each one, teach one, pass it on. So this information may be for you, yes, but pass this on to somebody else that you may know. You want to gain knowledge. Remember, I talked about earlier, King Solomon asked for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Knowledge is information. Understanding is the comprehension of the information. And wisdom is applying the information that you understand when it's time to apply it. Wisdom. But to have worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, suppression, depression that turns into disease in the body and decay, ultimately, that's a part of not knowing that the cycle is happening. They're caught in a loop. Where now, when you understand, hey, I need to get knowledge. And that's what I'm providing you right now. And helping you get understanding of this knowledge. Now you have a will to choose a different thought. You could think on these things that are good, that is in good rapport, things that are lovely. Think on these things that do cause enjoyment for you. That experience that you have in the past that's exciting to you. You want to start to change that thinking rapidly. And the moment you change that thought, you focus on changing that thought, the moment your emotions change. So knowledge is the key, but you have to study. You have to study to show yourself approved. You have to study personal development, personal growth, mindset, right? Getting that spirit right. That takes ongoing study. Like one of my mentors has been studying this information for 60 years. The information he was studying, he told me was me. He said, right now I've been studying personal development, personal growth. He's a multi-million-dollar earner, or was a multi-million-dollar earner. He said, but what I've been studying over the years is me. And that's what you have to do. You have to take the time to study you. So I'm sharing something in a different biblical perspective that you have. The Bible, the acronym for Bible is called Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. You're getting basic instructions before leaving Earth of how to think, how to renew your mind, how to create a new belief. As a man thinketh, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart or in his mind, so is he. So how do we change that? Worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, suppression, depression, disease that turn into decay. Well, the knowledge is going to be the opposite. That means that you're getting understanding. And all you're getting is understanding. Faith. Faith is the opposite of fear. Get that? Faith is the opposite of fear. Both fear and faith, thoughts can be occupying your mind at the same time. It cannot happen. Either you can think fearful thoughts or you can think faithful thoughts. Either or. You have the will to choose that. That is another law called the law of polarity. The law of polarity states that everything has an equal opposite. Everything has an equal opposite. If something is hot, it's also cold. If there's an in, there's an out. There's an up, there's a down. I'm at my desk. If there's 3 feet from the floor up to this desk, it has to be 3 feet down from the desk to the floor. I can't have 3 feet up from the floor to the desk and then have 10 feet down from the desk to the floor. That doesn't example. It doesn't happen. It can't. It's called a law of polarity. Everything has an equal opposite. You have day, you have night. You have good, you got evil. Everything has an equal opposite. You have true, you got false. So if something is very, very good happening to you right now, then the opposite is something very, very bad happen. But if something is very, very bad has happened to you, you can rush to shore and have faith that something is very, very good to happen too. It's based on your will. What are you going to think? What you're going to believe? So instead of thinking fearful thoughts that created that doubt and worry, you want to create faith. You want to read, study, grow, build up your spirit, man, build up your faith, ultimately build up that belief, enhancing your belief. Well-being, number 2. Well-being. And well-being determines expression. So you're not only suppressing the thought, you're expressing the well-being. And that gives you acceleration. Instead of having depression, you have acceleration. Now the body is at ease. It's not at dis-ease, it's at ease. And now you're creating. You have creation that's happening opposed to decaying. So that's the difference. Faith, well-being, and you expressing that. You're accelerating your life. And your body is at ease, and you're creating. So you have the choice to choose. You're going to think about worry, doubt, fearful thoughts. That's going to create anxiety, where you're going to suppress them, turn into depression, and have disease in the body, ultimately turn into decay. Or you're going to have faith, well-being, and you're going to express that. You're going to have acceleration in your life. Your body is going to be at ease. You get to choose that, guys. So listen, I'm going to end this broadcast right now. I'm super excited you guys hung out with me. Make sure that you like this. Leave a positive comment, share it, because when you do this on YouTube and Facebook, you tell a platform that this is good information. And they're going to start to show this information more and more and more to more people so we can help more and more people. I recommend, if you want more information like this, join me on Saturdays. I'm going to do my best to come on at about 12 noon on Saturdays. I'm going to broadcast directly to YouTube, Facebook, etc. It's going to be recorded as well. So make sure you join, tell a friend. But ultimately, 24 hours a day, we have a virtual real estate investor mastermind community, right? It's online, it's a community, it's free, no cost to you. And you can simply just go to chamberlainmortgagecapital.com At the very top, there's going to be a little banner that says join the community. Click on that banner and request to join the community. So that way you could be around other people that think like you, people that you want to be around. You can network, right? Build relationships, right? Build out your team from people all across the country, right? To be able to put yourself in the position to be able to win in real estate investing, right? So we help first-time home buyers, right? Change their mindset, change their thinking, give them financial literacy, give them real estate literacy, right? So they can go out there and buy a home, right? And we also obviously teach real estate investors and developers and entrepreneurs how to go and develop and redevelop these affordable and workforce housing for our community. So listen, God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day on purpose. And I mean that. Take care, guys.